From our Chicago studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Samana Siddiqui. Muslim Network TV wishes you a very happy Eid. Our top story tonight. The month of Ramadan comes to an end this evening in the U.S. Tomorrow, Friday, April 21st, is Eid al-Fitr, the festival of breaking the fast in North America. It is one of the two most important annual Islamic holidays. Based on local sighting of the crescent moon, Eid prayers will be offered Saturday and Sunday, as well as around the world. In related news, mosques around America were bustling with the sounds of Ameen, or Amen, all of last night. It was the last possible night of power and the last night of Ramadan. The night of power refers to the odd-numbered nights of the last 10 days of the month of fasting. Along with prayers for the families, parents, and children attending worship services, prayers were offered for America and the Muslim world. At Islamic Foundation Mosque in Villa Park, Illinois, prayers were offered for the end of apartheid in Israel, freedom for Kashmiris, and liberty for Uyghurs in China. Last night also marked the end of a marathon recitation of the Quran at many mosques. Huffaz, or those who have memorized the Quran, lead prayers aiming to complete a full recital of the Holy Book in Arabic as a special Ramadan tradition. Around the world, Muslims are preparing to celebrate Eid al-Fitr with the usual family, food, and fun. The Indonesian government says that 123 million are traveling for Eid al-Fitr this year, up from 85 million last year. Indonesia has the largest Muslim population in the world. The Nigerian federal government has declared Friday, April 21st and Monday, April 24th as public holidays to mark this year's Eid al-Fitr celebration. In London, over 220,000 Muslims are expected to attend Europe's biggest Eid festival. That is being held in the Westfield White City Shopping Center. The festival will run from Saturday, April 29th to Monday, May 1st for the fourth year in a row. Passengers arrive at a train station in Hyderabad, Pakistan to celebrate Eid al-Fitr in their hometown. Pakistan is the second largest Muslim country in the world. In Gaza, Palestinians were shopping for the holiday, as is common throughout the Muslim world. Here are Somalis also shopping for Eid in the capital, Mogadishu. Food is also a major part of Eid celebrations. These Palestinian women are making traditional sweets and cakes filled with dates at a workshop in Gaza City as factory workers prepared smoked herring fish called fasih. While the rest of the Muslim world celebrates, the Indian government is denying this right to Muslims in Kashmir, and the Chinese government is doing so with Uyghurs in northwest China. Since 2019, the Indian government has not allowed Eid prayers at the main Srinagar Eidgah in Kashmir. This is a location where historically Muslims in the region offer their Eid prayers. The Indian government fears that any large congregation of Kashmiris will result in the chanting of slogans for a free Kashmir. Uyghur Muslims in China have been denied fasting and prayers in their mosques. However, to please the Muslim world, China TV shows dancing on Eid Day. Here's our report about it.
Muslims fast during Ramadan, and then they offer prayers on Eid Day and celebrate. But not in China, and definitely not Muslims in eastern Turkestan, which the Chinese call Xinjiang, or New Colony. Uyghur and other Turkic Muslims are not allowed to fast nor pray. The police actually go around before dawn, raiding houses if the lights are on. The light indicates that someone is up early eating before fasting. However, this Eid, the Chinese Communist Party decided to fake the Eid. Yes, they created a fake Eid. Here is a clip broadcasted by Chinese state TV. Take a look before we break it down for you. The first thing to note is that this Chinese TV did not show any Eid prayers, because prayers are not allowed. That is consistent with the Communist China's policies. Second, notice the musicians, which are placed at the top of the mosque. As a matter of fact, it is against the Muslim culture to have musicians at the top of a mosque. It is also against the concept of respect among Turkic Muslims, but the Chinese producer probably has not studied Islam deep enough. Here is an earlier video of the mosque. In this 6-year-old clip, you can see a welcoming plaque with a statement of faith in Islam. It was still there 4 years ago in this CCTV video, and there was no Chinese flag. Even in September 2017, the multicolored scriptural plaque was there, but then the Chinese flag was added. It shows how gradually the character of a mosque was destroyed. 2 years ago in 2019, however, that faith-based plaque, which adorned its main entrance, was gone. A Chinese flag is also installed at the top of the mosque. There is hardly any mosque in any Muslim nation which installs a national flag at the top of the mosque. This is simply not done. But in China, those mosques which still exist are forced to install a flag. And in some mosques, a photo of the Chinese president is installed where God's name is written on the mihrab. Kashgar is an ancient Muslim city and an icon for the Islamic civilization. The Chinese Communist Party has erased the historic Islamic identity. This Eid-Kah mosque was in the center of a bustling heart of the Kashgar. The Chinese demolished houses to create this plaza for tourists. The BBC estimates that 16,000 mosques are demolished in East Turkestan. Thanks to tourists, this mosque still survives. A former imam of this mosque was arrested in 2017 and sentenced to 15 years in prison. The current imam at the mosque, however, denies religious oppression by the ruling Communist Party. The mosque structure dates back to 996 AD. It has a capacity for 20,000 people to pray, but Muslims are no longer allowed to pray here. Here is Aiden Anwar from US-based Save Uyghur campaign. Her family from Kashgar is missing 93 relatives.
I'm an Uyghur Muslim, and right now I have 93 relatives in East Turkestan, also known as Xinjiang, who we deem as missing, meaning we've had no contact with them for the past 3 years. We don't know how many are in these re-education camps and whether they are alive or dead.
Kashgar is almost empty nowadays. Most of its people are in the largest concentration camp since the Nazis. They cannot even practice their faith, except when the Chinese government forces them to dance. Dancing for the party and no prayers for Allah.
Non-Muslim Japanese participants enjoyed the spirit of Ramadan as they participated in an iftar event held at the Tokyo Mosque on Tuesday. It was one of several iftars held at the mosque during the month of fasting, which was attended by about 15,000 guests, according to Imam Muhammad Rifat Sinar. A Japanese architect who converted to Islam this year at the Tokyo Mosque shared his feelings and experiences on his first ever fasting with Andalu Agency. He said, "I got used to it gradually, although I could not succeed in the first week." Why is poverty killing people in the U.S.? Details after the break, so stay tuned and we'll be right back. Welcome back. The American Medical Association estimates that poverty was linked to at least 183,000 deaths in the United States in 2019. The research was published this week in the Journal of the American Medical Association. The study of people aged 15 or older makes inadequate income the nation's fourth leading cause of death after heart disease, cancer, and smoking. David Brady is a professor of public policy at the University of California, Riverside, and lead author of the new analysis. He said poverty kills as much as dementia, accidents, stroke, Alzheimer's, and diabetes. The family of Tyree Nichols has filed a lawsuit against the city of Memphis and its police department. Nichols died after being severely beaten by police officers after a traffic stop in Tennessee earlier this year. The 139-page complaint by his family also names Memphis Police Chief Cerelyn Davis, 5 officers facing criminal charges for Nichols' death, 2 additional officers, and 3 Memphis Fire Department employees. The lawsuit, which was filed on Wednesday, describes Nichols' vicious beating as a foreseeable product of the unconstitutional policies, practices, customs, and deliberate indifference of the city of Memphis and Chief Davis. Nichols was a Muslim, according to a Memphis imam who officiated his conversion to Islam. 28 states across the U.S. have passed measures that oppose teaching critical race theory, or CRT, in schools or government employee trainings. And over 10 more have seen similar initiatives on a smaller scale, with single cities, counties, or school districts establishing such laws and directives. That is according to UCLA Law School's tracking project. It identifies and analyzes local, state, and federal measures that attempt to restrict access to information about CRT, race, and systemic racism. A newly released report by the National Urban League, entitled The State of Black America, identifies over 500 anti-critical race theory laws introduced in the U.S. Critical race theory seeks to understand why inequality persists in America and how laws and policies can reproduce racial inequality. Critics say it is extreme and promotes anti-white racism. After reaching a high in 2001, the incarceration rate of African American men in the U.S. is dropping. But there remains significant racial discrepancies in the American criminal justice system. Even today, the rate at which black men are imprisoned is still much higher than that of white men. It is also double that of Hispanic men. Women's imprisonment rates are much lower across the board in the U.S. The rate of Hispanic and black women being imprisoned has equally dropped since the late 1990s. The group with the lowest overall incarceration rate are white women. After growing steadily since 1980, their imprisonment rate started dropping in 2015. A French Muslim was greeted by many Palestinians in Jerusalem after he walked over 2,000 miles in 10 months to reach Al-Aqsa Mosque in occupied East Jerusalem. 26-year-old Anil Dokwa, a French Muslim of Algerian descent, set off on foot from France 10 months ago to reach Islam's third holiest site during Ramadan. Dokwa passed through 10 countries to reach his destination. That included Turkey, Italy, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Albania, Greece, and Jordan. He told Andalu Agency that his adventure was sometimes good, but very difficult at times. The young Muslim highlighted the hospitality shown by people in different countries during his journey. He said his next goal is to go for Hajj to Mecca in a month and a half. He said, people in Saudi Arabia are also following me. I would love to receive their help on my next journey. 39 hospitals in Sudan's capital, Khartoum, have been damaged or shut down in the 5th day of fighting between the country's army and the government's rapid support forces. The conflict within the country's military ranks has left many across the northeastern African nation without access to medical care. African Union leaders are expected to arrive in the city as ceasefire attempts have failed. The UN says at least 270 Sudanese have been killed and over 2,000 wounded. Many are attempting to flee the capital to reach safer parts of the country. The U.S. is one of many foreign governments debating whether to attempt evacuation operations to rescue their citizens from the fighting. A massive fire swept through parts of Camp 24 in Cox's Bazar, Bangladesh on Tuesday. The camp is host to over 15,000 Rohingya refugees. Nearly 100 shelters, 3 Islamic schools, and 2 mosques were totally burned to the ground. Many additional shelters adjacent to the fire area were destroyed to prevent the spread of fire through the densely populated camp. Bangladesh's refugee camps are home to about 1.2 million Rohingya who fled their homes in neighboring Burma after that country's army committed genocide against them. Imam Safid Katovich is director of United Nations Operations for Justice for All, an American Muslim human rights organization. He said he supports the calls made by UN Human Rights Chief Volker Turk for the voluntary and safe return of the Rohingya to their ancestral homes in Burma. Before we end today's news, I'd like to make a special request. It takes 55 hours of combined work for our team to produce this news for you. It is news with a unique perspective, and you will find it only here. Sound Vision is a not-for-profit organization which produces it, and just like PBS and NPR, it depends on your donations. Please visit MuslimNetwork.tv to donate now, or click on the link below to donate. Thank you. That's all from our Chicago studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for the latest updates. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit MuslimNetwork.tv. Salam and good night.